Good afternoon. How are you? Interactive, you can talk back. So this is live and social. A lot of live, a lot of social. This is us. I'm live. She's social. We're going to announce our relationship. This is a quick trot through live and social. I'm just going to give you some context of George P. Johnson, just in case anyone doesn't know who we are. We're 97 years old this year. 99 years old this year, 100 years next year. So we've been around a long time. 27 offices around the world, 1,700 people, which makes us pretty big as an event organization. Around about 6,000 events a year, 14 a day. And we spend $500 million in third-party purchases. So great list of clients, amazing clients, and some great work. So we work with Motorola here, that's BMW Mini there. Cisco, we're going to talk about at great length. That's Cisco House for the Olympics, Oral-B. Zumba, Panasonic, amazing clients who all need a range of services. And the mighty Cisco Live, which is Rebecca's area, she's going to talk about that. That screen was 67 meters. Was it 67 meters? Yeah. Biggest thing in history. 67 meters. There were 7,000 people at Cisco Live this year. So this is me. So that's the context on George P. Johnson. A bit about me. I'm a bit like this guy, as you can tell. I'm over-enthusiastic, optimistic, because I believe it hides a multitude of sins. Just keep smiling. Smile and wave. And this is me. This is me in the 80s. Yes, I had hair. We all had hair in the 80s. Yeah. That's me in the 80s. That's me in the 90s. I'm not sure what that moustache was doing. Waving goodbye, I think. And that's me in the noughties. I think I'm a lot better looking now. So, but what that does is I'm only showing you that just to show that I've been around a while and have got some perspective on life. And I'm a bit like this guy. So I'm blind in one eye and I've got really, really poor eyesight in the other eye. So I don't really see that well. So if you're saying hello to me outside, just say hello to me properly because I won't recognize you. But I do see the world in a bit of a haze. I don't see the world as it really is. So my life is all about trying to look at things and understand whether they're as close as they seem or further away than I thought. And that's what my blog's about, and that's what our GPJ EMEA Twitter is about. So this is about gaining some understanding. So I'm going to reveal, you're going to listen, and hopefully we're going to get some understanding, because this is a quick trot through live and social and technology and how we all became together. Live is the fastest growing marketing discipline outside of social, and it's that for a reason. We come to these things for a reason. We come for lots and lots of reasons, but it's not all doom and gloom. I know there's lots of doom and gloom out there at the moment. The world's in a terrible space. Funny enough, if you read Churchill's book, 1914, the world is in crisis. So actually, pretty much, the world's always been in crisis. The superheroes are always just going to arrive and save the megalomaniac who's going to take over the world. Well, the end is nigh, but we should be a bit like this guy. Maybe not take notice of all those signs and just do the thing that we do and actually focus on that, because that's how we're going to get out of it. And a bit about brand experience and how word of mouth works. I think one of the things that live does and one of the things that social does, which is why they work together so happily, is they drive word of mouth. You know, you need to create something. Live events create content that we then display through social. 76% of customers say that word of mouth is their biggest deciding factor. And in fact, for most customers, most clients, the brand is the experience. It's not the marketing messages, which are only 10% of what we see. It's actually the experience of the brand. It's the reality of the brand. It's the call center. It's the reception desk. It's the shop counter. It's the things that actually, the touch points between you and the consumer, you and the brand. That decides whether you think it's a great brand, product, service or not. And that's the thing that makes the difference. That's where social and live come together. Because the experience is the marketing. It's not the advertising, it's not the leaflet, it's not the PR. It's the experience you have of the brand when you're having it. Man is defined... See, I get points for Jean-Paul Sartre in a presentation. Come on. Yeah? No. Yeah. Man is defined by his actions, and so are brands. You know, there's a whole currency around doing rather than telling. It's not what you say, it's what you do. Walk the talk. Put your money where your mouth is. Don't just tell me you love me. Show me. Boys, who's with me? Yep. It's all about doing. It's not about telling. Advertising is telling. Experience is doing. Social is doing. That's where the strength of brands are now, in the doing. A brand is a set of promises you make to your various customers and clients. How you behave is how you deliver on those promises. So you can promise what you want, you can say what you want, you can make any of those promises, but actually what you do as a brand is much more important than what you say as a brand. That's how live and social works together, because it's living up to those promises. You can say what you want in the social sphere, but someone is going to take you down. Someone is not going to believe you. So it's about how you act in a real live way. And what we do, we create meaningful brand experiences that inspire people to participate. Again, social, participation. And more importantly, it's all good doing it. Actually, there has to be some benefit. You've got to take some action. You've got to buy something. You've got to do something as a result of it. You've got to move someone from participation to action. Okay, now a bit of social commentary, so forgive me. And we've all changed. The world has changed. As we've already said, we've moved from our left-hand column over here to our right-hand column over there. We don't. The 80s, the 90s, conspicuous consumption, not good. Don't do that anymore. It's all about being frugal and being seen to be frugal. Those trips abroad, those fam trips, those reward trips, they're not happening the way they used to. We can't be seen to be spending money. MPs can't be seen to be spending money. We've gone from info overload, where we're just pumping out information, to info on demand. We've got choices in terms of information. This is an interesting one, isn't it? Trust in institutions. We used to believe banks. We used to believe governments. We used to believe, the Catholic Church. But we know those guys aren't really telling the truth. So actually, we believe the people across the road from us. We believe the people in our little social network. And amazingly enough, social networking has come around at just at the right time. So we can connect with more people that we know and trust. You know, if you're a brand operating in this environment and you advertise, I don't know, your swimming pool, the consumers don't believe the 10 million you've just spent on advertising. They'd rather believe the guy who's just bought the swimming pool in Geneva, the little guy who posts his response to what he thinks. We believe these guys because now there's a way of us connecting with a social network. Brand pushers have trained to brand advocates, cyclical unemployment, pervasive joblessness, and ceding control, we've taken control, and that's true of everything. You know we can change things. And if you look at the way governments and companies now are worried about how we react socially to what they're saying to us corporately, there's a whole different power shift. So in terms of communication, that's important too. And especially in our live and social context. We've gone from pushing information to waiting for consumers to pull it. We've gone from pushing out quantity to quality. We used to buy media, just get stuff out there. Now it's about creating experiences. And even advertising is creating experiences. And the best ads of the last few years have been filmed experiences. Demand attention, me, look at me. Actually, that's not how the world works anymore. You can't demand attention of consumers. And the last speaker from Salesforce was saying you have to be their best friend. Well, you do have to be their best friend, but only when they want to talk to you. You know, advertisers have gone, P&G since the 1950s saying, hi, we're great, buy our products, look at how good we are. Now there's a way of talking back. You can't get away with that anymore. We used to talk, now we listen. It used to be awareness, and now it's about relationships. And this is how that collision of live and social has happened, because it's about the relationships, at the depth of the relationship you build. So that's going on, but actually, fundamentally, we haven't changed as people. We're still exactly the same. We want to be great fathers. We want to be great mothers. We want to be great husbands and wives. We want to do a good job. We want to be entertained. We want some attention. All of those basic needs are still there. So even though the context has changed, the people don't. We want to belong to something, which is why things like this work, which is why live works, which is why social works. We can connect with people like-minded. Doesn't matter whether they're here or in Oregon. If we're guitar-playing left-handers, we can connect with the community of guitar-playing left-handers. And funnily enough, there's a convention just for you guys. Here it is. You're all left-handed guitar players. And that has happened. All of those social changes, all of those brand changes, all of our needs as people have happened. And then straight away, we're into tech. And I probably don't need to tell you guys, but we have the pleasure of working with Cisco, so I've got some quotes, so I'm going to use them. So 70% of all the information we've created has been created since the internet. We know more now than we've ever known, and our knowledge is doubling every 2 to 3 years. So we know more, we're knowing it quicker, and we're knowing it better. And if you take what's happening to the internet, it's going to double it. Well, Cisco are currently saying it's going to double in size every 5.32 years. But actually, that was a bit bigger last year. So the connections of social are only going to get deeper. The way we use social and the way we connect digitally amongst ourselves is only going to get more significant. And I've got a few fun examples here. So this tree's got 4,200 followers on Twitter. Has anybody got 4,200 followers on Twitter? That tree has got more followers than all of you guys. Come on. And it tweets every day. It tweets about the weather. It tweets about the traffic. It's tweeting. This cow tells you what it's eating. This chip in the cow's ear tells you what it's eating, tells you when it's ready for milking. You don't need to have people standing by it. The world is doing it for us. We know all about Nike Plus. All cool. Asthma, connected to your inhaler. What's the weather doing? Should you be out there? Have you got things to worry about? And this thing, the data in your stomach, what you've eaten, what you've digested. Now, that's here now. You know behind that is a whole raft of things that we don't know about. They're going to get even more interesting and even more freaky. So all of that collision is what's fueling our need to stop talking and start listening, which is ironic coming from me because I'm talking. We need to be listening to our customers and consumers, because where we are now is here. We're in the power of earned media, and I don't mean earned media in terms of social particularly. For us, we work very solidly in owned media. So here's what you buy. Here's what you buy. This is advertising. This is paid for search. This is what clients already own or operate, so it's their workforce. Great source of owned media is your own workforce. It's your events, it's your online, it's your in-store. You already own or control that. You can do with it what you want. And actually what we always do is we're driving to here. Word of mouth is our biggest form of earned media. We want people to go and talk about the things they see and do. That, for us, is a major tick in the win column. Getting people to go to an event and tweet and amplify and endorse is what it's all about. And that's why the live social thing works so well, because you create, during the live experience, you create great content. Even if you don't believe a word I'm saying or agree with the word I'm saying, it still gives you the right to tweet about it. this guy's talking complete crap. And he probably is. But it's about that. It's about using that content. Otherwise, you're just tweeting, I had a great breakfast, which, quite frankly, no one wants to hear. So if you're doing that, stop. To be absorbed in a brand, you need to look, touch, and feel it, as my friend Neil at De Beers said. And that's what live is about. That's what experience is about. And as my own marketing guru, Kid Rock, said, if it looks good, you'll see it. If it sounds good, you'll hear it. If it's marketing right, you'll buy it. But if it's real, you'll feel it. And I think that's the key to brand marketing at the moment. Brand marketing is all about real, right, and relevant. Whether you're in a live situation or in a social media situation, if you're not being real, you're not being right, and you're not being relevant, you are going to have problem. You are going to have a problem with people hijacking your message. That's the way of the world. We've democratized communication. We've democratized brand communication. Because I think the fundamental thing for me is engagement doesn't happen on a piece of paper. Engagement doesn't happen on a TV screen. Actually, because it happens in your head, especially in the live and social context. So it doesn't matter whether you're at the O2 listening to Lady Gaga, you're one of 20,000, but you believe she's singing directly to you. Or in my case, take that. Gary was singing directly to, he was. It doesn't matter how many people are around you. In this context, you think I'm talking to you. And I am, I'm talking to you. I am. It's an individual thing. That's what social is. It's an individual thing. You know, Henry Ford said, Henry Ford the third or fourth, 30 years ago said, every brand will have a customer database of one. And actually what he meant was, ahead of his time, was that we all want to be treated as an individual. And I think the issue is for us, the live context allows you to do that because it's an individual message. The social context allows you to do that because it's an individually targeted message. Now, I'm going to hand over to the lovely Rebecca now, and she's going to take you through some facts on Cisco Live.
Thank you. So before I start, I just want to apologise on two counts. One, being a social media marketing manager, I'm much more familiar, much more comfortable hidden behind a Facebook profile and a Twitter handle. And secondly, today is the day my voice decided to start disappearing, so I apologise if I'm coughing. Anyway, so I'm the social media marketing manager, and on top of a few other pieces of kind of marketing elements for Cisco Live EMEA, which is one of Cisco's flagship global events. There's 4 that run throughout the globe. For the last 3 years, the EMEA event has taken place in London. And this year, back in January, we pretty much hit record numbers in terms of attendance, in terms of feedback. So we have over 7,000 customers, partners, analysts, press that come through the doors to hear about all of Cisco's latest innovations and technologies. We have over 100 exhibitors which take the format of the Cisco business units and also Cisco partners that again are demonstrating all of the latest technologies in the networking and IT environment. There's hundreds and hundreds of sessions. Its history is that it's a very deeply technical event. People come to this event, as you can see the job titles here, predominantly very technical people, to be educated, to hear about the latest technologies, to get certified. But we are now pulling in some more business level sessions for IT managers and directors, which again is picking up in terms of the type of audience that we're speaking to. On top of the actual live event, the physical event that takes place, we also have a virtual platform. So during the period of the London event, we had 2 days of live broadcasting. So all of the sessions that were being videoed were being streamed live through the Ustream product. And we had over 100,000 viewers that were watching us live through the Ustream. And then all of that content is recorded, and the virtual platform is year-round. So social media plays a really big part of Cisco Live, and it's getting bigger with every year. And a lot of people kind of say to me, well, what's the strategy of social media? What are your objectives? And I always say that my objectives are absolutely 100% support the objectives of the event itself. And so I'll just run through quickly the objectives of the actual physical and virtual event and how social media fits into that. So obviously I've bolded here community, and I'm sure everybody knows obviously social media is a fantastic tool for building the community. What we try to do with the social media streams that we promote through the Cisco Live name is we try to provide added value. We don't just talk about the event itself, because that would be pretty dull, just saying, you know, registration's open and the coffee's served to your left. So we try to provide added value. We talk about the industry, we talk about Cisco product launches, we talk about any news items that are relevant to the audience that are listening to us. So it is also a platform for talking about Cisco itself and the Cisco brand. We've had a lot of focus over the past couple of years of ensuring that the customer journey that we provide for the delegates that come to the live and also through the virtual event is really consistent and is really enhanced. So from the first touch point they have with us, be that on the website or through the registration portal or through social media in a lot of cases, we're trying to ensure that every single step and every single touch point is consistent and is beneficial to them. I think, as we'll all know, social media is very base level, is a very efficient way to communicate with people. 350 plus days of the year, it's me. You know, I'm a resource, so it's just one person, and I use the usual social media platforms that you'd expect. So I can, you know, open an account. It doesn't cost anything. So as a communications channel, it's very operationally efficient and also very financially efficient. Trying to do is promote Cisco Live as a brand in itself. As I said, it's a global event. There's 4 that take place globally. I work very closely with my colleagues all in the other geographies, and we're trying to ensure that everything we're doing is consistent on brand and we're going out with the same messages to the audience. So having now done this for the last couple of years, and I've been chatting to colleagues internally and talking to quite a few people outside of what you'd usually expect and what we all know are the benefits of social media, we've really tried to drill down into what we see the benefits are of having social media when you're running a live event. And it's not, you know, as much as a lot of the time I will say to people and some other, you know, kind of clients that I talk to, a lot of them feel they have to have social media because everyone else has and because they know people are on social media and talking about their event. But I think as an organisation, if you're running events of this size, and you really need to be the one that's facilitating the conversation, that's leading the conversation, that is absolutely listening to what people are saying, rather than just having a Twitter handle of your own and half-heartedly monitoring it and just ensuring that you're there if anyone has any burning questions. So I've said a real critical thing for us is that the Cisco Live social media channel is really the voice of Cisco Live and also in some ways the voice of Cisco as a brand. Again, as I've said, it's a real tool for maintaining the community and facilitating peer-to-peer networking. I was saying to my colleagues earlier that I wasn't maybe going to give this example, but last year I almost felt like I was running a dating agency because we had quite a lot of new attendees that were coming to the event. They were new to the social media, new to Twitter. We were trying to introduce them. What we've tried to do this year is, I think about 40% of our attendees year on year are first-timers. And you can imagine an event the size of Cisco Live with 7,000 people milling around, over 400 sessions to choose from. It can be quite daunting. So we've tried to ask through the social media channels for our repeat attendees to give some top tips to our first-timers. We did that last year and people started chatting. They then came to see us on site. They got chatting face-to-face on site. And we actually lost quite a big proportion of people last year at our customer event because they all went off for a curry together at the end of the week rather than coming to the social activity that we'd organised. So not only is social media obviously trying to get conversations going online, but it's absolutely the way to get people to start meeting face-to-face when they're actually at a live event. It is a basic communications channel. We use it to give relevant information. On site, we could say, for example, we've got spaces left in kind of the certification classes, and we actually got feedback that people were turning up saying, oh, I've just seen on Twitter that you've got spaces. So at the end of the day, it's a really easy and really simple to use communications channel. We tell our audience that it's the place to get the hot off the press news about the event. We obviously have an email campaign, websites, everything else you'd expect for an event of that size. But the day we announce our keynote speaker, the first place we put it is on social media. I've been in marketing now for almost 2 decades, and I think everyone who's been in marketing has heard everybody talk about one-on-one engagement marketing and having to personalize your marketing. And I think it's very difficult. People have said that to me over the years, and I've probably given presentations where I've pretended to know what I'm talking about. But what I can honestly say is through social media, it's where I've truly seen one-on-one and personalized marketing taking place when you're having conversations with individuals as we do. In terms of, as we've said, social media on site, and I'll talk about what we did on site in a couple of slides. We really use it to massively enhance their on-site experience. But what we've also done is use it to try and shape the event experience that their people will be coming to see when they get to the event. We've done polls and competitions and asked them questions on Twitter and Facebook. What do you want to see? Our keynote speaker's great in that she will always go out and say, what are the technical hot topics you want to talk about? And as long as they can see that when they come on site, they really feel that they've been part of the decisions that have gone into making the event what it is, and they're much more bought into the experience when they're on site. Again, at its base level, we're the social media team. We're there to answer any questions they might have, particularly when they get on site. None of us can be bothered to get our joining instructions out of our bag or our pocket. What's the Wi-Fi instructions to get online? We're there to immediately answer any instant questions they have. People these days just don't want to and can't be bothered to pick up the phone and phone an 0800 or a registration line number, but they'll go to Twitter and they'll expect an immediate response. We also found on site that it was quite a useful tool for us to be able to communicate internally within the event team. So one example we had was one day of the event, there was massive problems on the DLR, no surprise. And guys were tweeting that they were kind of 3 deep on the platform. They were concerned they were going to be late to the event and going to miss their sessions. So not only were we able to tweet back and reassure them that, or try and pacify them, there was obviously nothing we could do about it, that, we're sorry you're having problems, we hope you get here soon. But we were also able to radio through to the speaker team and tell them to expect that people were going to be turning up late for sessions, to tell speakers that they were potentially going to be walking into an empty room and, that people were on their way. This is one of the most important things we found. So not only, as Kevin mentioned, do we want to amplify any positivity, so if anyone's complimenting us, telling us what a great time they're having, saying what a great company Cisco is, we will, of course, retweet that and send that out to all of our audiences. But what we found is really critical is using social media to address negativity. So again, for example, with the DLR issue we had one guy that had managed to get to his session on time and was getting quite upset that people were walking in 15, 20 minutes late, disturbing the session, rustling their bags. But we were able to reply back to him through Twitter that we're really sorry, we hope it doesn't, just destroy your experience too badly. But, by the way, we did know that there were problems on the DLR and, we apologise, but we were informed that people could turn up late. And he just came back and said, actually, that's a reasonable explanation, so thank you for letting me know. And also in terms of real-time feedback and recommendations, and this also links into the negativity, you're always going to get someone that isn't 100% happy with everything. And one of the things we would consistently go back and say to them is, we're sorry that it's not quite as you wanted it, or, can you think of a way that we could do something better? We ask a lot of our attendees, how can we do this better? How can we improve things? And we can use that for future events. We can also use it for real time. So, for example, the event takes place at London's Excel. It's a huge venue. We have people saying, the coffee point's too far from a breakout session I'm in. And we can just put a pop-up coffee point now the following day, and that gives someone a really good experience. So what I do for Cisco Live is basically a year-round program, so 365 days of the year, and it's kind of forms of 3 parts. The first part is really just what you would expect. It's the every single day monitoring, responding, communicating through the social media channels. We then really ramp that up into a solution that we have on site. We make a real showcase of social media on site at the Cisco Live events. So it takes a big team of people. We bring in a lot more tools, a lot more technologies, a lot more resource for what it is we actually do for the show days. And then we have a huge effort that predominantly takes place post-event, but runs throughout the year, of analysing, reporting and measuring and improving what we're doing by looking at all of the different stats. So the way we've changed our approach for social media at Cisco Live, Basically, 2 years ago, it was someone else doing this role, and it was one guy. It was a really tiny part of his role, and it literally was him and his BlackBerry. So he was very reactive. He kind of focused on social media when it got to nearer the event. It was very broadcast. He'd talk about different event, registration's now live. Please make sure you register. And I did actually see him at the event back in 2011, and he had his BlackBerry, and he said, someone's tweeted me, and I'm going to meet up with them. And he was answering when he got any kind of burning questions, but that was as far as it went. So for 2012, we decided to put, and it was pretty much a good 10 months in advance of the live event itself, we decided to put much more structure in place. So we had a content plan. We looked at what we thought social media could achieve. We looked at what the event was trying to achieve, and we put a lot more structure behind it. We also, with the run-up, and just by the nature of social media, our audience was getting bigger. I already had the feeling that when we went on site, it was potentially going to be a bigger job than just me and potentially my BlackBerry. So I did speak to the team, and I spoke to various people. It was decided we'd actually bring a team of people on site. And then someone back at the office had the creative idea. So what we do for our global event is we will have a social media monitoring team hidden away behind the scenes, sitting in a box, responding, tweeting, and making sure everything runs smoothly. We decided we were going to put that as a showcase on the show floor. So it wasn't in a central position, but we were there in our box, decided we'd put glass fronts up just in case we had any issues that we had to escalate and that conversations might get heated if anything happened that we weren't sure how to respond. But it was great. We had a lounge there, and all of our prolific tweeters and bloggers did come and use the lounge. We got to meet people face to face, and it was a real central meeting point. People could see their tweets coming up on the big screens. They were really excited. It really got the conversation going, and it really showed our audience that we were taking social media seriously and that we really wanted them to start using it. And so in 2012, we made a showcase of social media. In 2013, social media was the showcase of the event. So we had this huge structure. I don't know how many, tens of thousands of Solaris balls. You can see the size of the screens were just huge. So we had to put a lot more structure in place behind it. We really, in 2012, we kind of turned up on site, and we knew we wanted to show things on big screens. We knew it was going to be Twitter feeds and photos. This year, we obviously, with the size of those screens, we had to make 100% sure that we knew what we were showing, how we were going to show it. We wanted it to look really wow. We had a team of people. We opened up the social media studio because what we'd found the year before is obviously Cisco Live. These guys are technical. They were really interested to know what technologies and tools we were using. But the year before, we were behind a glass front. They couldn't ask us. We could just point and have to dive out from the back of the glass. So we opened it up and we made it a real showcase. And we properly demonstrated all of the tools and technologies. We had visualizations of all of the stats we were showing. And for me, the critical success factors for this are the people and the tools. So as much as it is me year-round on my own for 350 plus days of the year, there's a huge team of people that I go to for content, people that I work very closely with who amplify what we're talking about. And then obviously when we get on site, that's tenfold. So we had for Cisco Live this year, we had a dedicated team of 4 people, all of us managing the social media effort, but on top of myself, who's kind of the year-round social media person and the person with the most in-depth knowledge of the event, we also had someone that was specifically responsible for IT, so an IT expert. We had a data and analytics and measurement expert. We had another guy that was looking after the whole structure behind it. So it really was, a properly resourced activity in order to make the showcase of it. And I just put this kind of wordle of the technologies and tools we use down as I was building this slide. And I already know I've missed things off there. I haven't even got YouTube on there, ridiculously. And the great thing about social media is that there's some fantastic tools and technologies out there that you can use. The hard thing about social media is knowing what to use. So I'm sure everyone has had 100 recommendations as to you should use this, you should use that. But we just went back to the drawing board, and as much as we were familiar with certain tools, we said, right, what is it we want to achieve? What is it, therefore, we need to use to get there? So a couple of the tools that were really key for us, one is actually Cisco's Social Miner. product, and I'm not promoting this at all being a Cisco person, and in fact Cisco themselves were not bothered if we used it or not, but some of the great functionality for that is when you're a team of people on site at an event, you're able to reserve, you see the huge stream of posts coming in. If you're a team of 4 people, whether you're sitting in a row or you're sitting in different parts of the building or different parts of the globe, you can ensure that only one person responds at any one time. So if someone comes in and says, who's the keynote speaker, immediately someone hits reply, that's reserved it for that person. So you can absolutely 100% make sure that nobody else is, you don't suddenly get 20 people responding to someone. It's also got great functionality for measurement, in that every single post that comes in, we had in the kind of live days from people coming on site to a couple of days after them leaving, we had 9,000 posts over the week. You're able to flag every post so we can say, was it positive, was it negative, were they talking about content, were they talking about the keynote speaker, were they talking about logistics? So at the end of the day, you can see exactly what the tone of conversation was and exactly what the conversation topics were, which is really useful. Feed Magnet is another tool that was fantastic for us. So that's the aggregation tool we used, so that all of the different Twitter, all of the different social media streams, all of the different photo streams we could potentially be pulling from, which for myself on a daily basis is very easy to manage. When you want to showcase that on site, it pulls them all into one place. It has all of the profanity filters, it has all of the photo filtering, so you don't get inappropriate content appearing, and it puts that into really visual templates, so you can... So if you're looking to have, as we have here, got Twitter feeds running through digital signage, it's a really easy and efficient way to do that. And needless to say, so in line with all of the different changes we've made, our numbers have grown. But for us, we've only been really measuring this for 2 years now, so even with last year's that we can benchmark against, it's really quite difficult to assess what are the good things, what are the bad things. But what we do know is that we're talking to the right people, because the people are responding, the people are retweeting us. So we're talking to the right people, and at the moment, we're generally saying the right things. And it's not just a numbers game. Some of the numbers we had from this year to last year actually went down. And what we realised was last year we had a couple of quite significant issues with the event. One, the venue was horribly cold, and two, the Wi-Fi network that we were offering the delegates wasn't very stable. So we must have had hundreds and hundreds of tweets from people, obviously not on the Wi-Fi, going to their smartphones with their 3G and tweeting that the Wi-Fi wasn't working and they weren't very happy. So the fact that we had less tweets this year, the overall sentiment was much more positive, is a positive thing. So my Cisco boss is very much double the numbers, and I just have to keep telling him that that's not always the thing. So key takeaways. As I said, social media success is not just a numbers game. You don't necessarily want 10,000 followers, but you just want the right followers and the quality followers. For us with Cisco Live, it's the people that come to our event, it's the people that will potentially come to our event, and it's the community as a whole. Never underestimate the value of responding, and in particular if people are posting negative comments or criticisms. There hasn't been, I can say hand on heart, a single negative comment that we haven't responded to that hasn't turned the sentiment. That hasn't in some way had someone come back and say, well, thanks for letting me know, oh, it's okay actually, or in every single case, without doubt, we've had people come back and we've managed to turn the sentiment. And don't underestimate the resource required. As I said, if you've got 9,000 posts coming through, every single one of which, in theory, you should be reading and responding to, or realising you don't need to respond to, that's not a one man and his BlackBerry job. You really need to put the proper resource behind it. And also structure and backup plans and technology and tools. For me, social media, the fun of social media is that it's spontaneous and it's people and it's conversation. And I think we've all seen in the press recently where brands have had their fingers burnt because they've got an automated response that goes out. Nothing that goes out from the Cisco Live social media feeds is automated in any way. And I just think you do, when you're going on site for an event the size of Cisco Live, you do have to have plans in place. You do have to have structure. You do have to have content. And as long as that's all in place, then you're able to get on with the conversations and the spontaneity and replying to people and listening to what people are saying. And that's the fun part of the job.
So finally, I think, as I said, we're 99 years old, and we've been tracking experiences and the value of experiences for a long, long time. But now we make no distinction in this tracking between live and virtual. You know, our social media experiences are as important to us now as our live experiences were back in the day. So in terms of experiences, we know that people who live through an experience with a brand, 70% of them buy more. We know that 66% of them change the way they feel about a brand. And even as Rebecca said, even if it starts off being a negative interaction, you can turn that round just by responding. 82% become more engaged. They're more likely to receive your marketing messages and look on them favorably. You are building a relationship. That's what this is all about, building long-lasting relationships with consumers. And right back, looping back to the start, 85% talk about their experience with others. We're driving word of mouth through live and social. 81% feel more connected to the brand. So these are an accumulation of results we've been achieving over the years. And as my old friend Tom says, it's my last slide, if you don't like change, you're in the wrong business, whatever business you're in. Rapid change, accelerating change, it's going to happen. We may as well get used to it. Thank you very much.